found out about Freedom from Pastor Philip. I'm one of the founders of the church, and I received an email from him with this exciting idea that he had to start the Freedom Church, and he wanted to know if I would be involved. And so we had several meetings with some other people, and we were able to come together to decide to launch this great ministry.
We found out about Freedom. Well, I found out about Freedom through Kendra. I've known Pastor for a long time. He was the UNF gospel choir director. And Kendra called me and told me that he was starting a church. And services were going to be on a Friday night. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll go and, support, see what it's all about.
I found out about Freedom through you, through my wife, Jennifer. She told me that there's a guy that she knows that she went to college with.
Mommy.
Dad was starting a church, and she wanted to check it out. So I said, okay, we can do that.
I was employed with Jennifer Major's auntie, Rosemary Holmes. She invited me to the church, and I came to the church. I liked the church because it was simple. Pastor put it as though it was a fifth grader could understand. And I went back home and told my husband, and next Sunday he went with me.
And she did not know I had been praying for something to change in my life.
I was living in the Grand Isle at Bay Meadows. It's an apartment complex. A friend of mine that was in law school with me, she moved into Pastor's old apartment, and he was going over her house like randomly checking to see if his check had came. And one day he invited her to church, and she told me about the church. So I was like, cool, let's go try it. So we ended up at the Freedom Church. But when we got there, I was like, we're at a hotel.
So after a lot of planning and preparation and advertising, one of my memories is that we had so many people to show up to the first service. We didn't know what to expect. No one knew us. So when we started and we had so many people to come, we had a great time. We had the UNF gospel choir, and of course, Pastor brought the word, and we had a great time. We were having service in the evenings on Friday night, which was different, but it was very exciting, and it was just something new for the city.
We went on Friday night, checked the church out, and it was in a hotel.
It was at the Zamar Center.
It started at the Zamar Center. What about the hotel?
That was later.
That was later?
That was the first service was at the Zamar Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We went to the Zamar Center, and we checked it out, and I remember a lot of empty chairs. That's what I remember. I believe it was only like 7 people in that whole in that whole building, and I'm like, where did my wife just take me? But
because you didn't come to the first service. The first service I went to was their very first service. It was packed.
It was packed.
It was packed the first service.
It was like a celebration service.
No, it was their first service.
Yeah, so everybody was happy that we were starting the church. Yeah, and then I come and nobody's there. So I'm like, where'd all the people go, But I remember going, and I remember enjoying the service. And I was like, that guy can preach his behind off. And we kept going, and every time I went, I always got something out of it. So that's how I got here, and that's how I stuck.
I'm thinking, okay, we're going into church, we need to be dressed up. I done got clean. I had on my little 2-piece nice suit, and I walk in there. And for one, we was at the hotel. We was in a small conference room. And I was like, this is not the church. It was maybe like 5 or 6 people in there, including the pastor. So, but I do remember when he did preach, he was teaching as well. So that's what really caught my eye besides, there weren't that many people there.
My first visit to Freedom, like we said, he was not with me. And I just felt like I belonged. because, like I said, Pastor made things so simple. I've been in church all my life, but this was the first time that I could really understand and go back out and share what he had told me.
I remember my first message. It was such an impact on my life because I remember even what the message was. It was how our pastor loves to make these messages and make them relevant. So it was George Benson, A Masquerade. And his message was, take off the mask. And it was exactly, I mean, it hit me to the T. My mind was made up from that point on.
Jimmy was attending one church. I was attending another church. We would go to his church at 7 o'clock and then roll over to my church at 11 o'clock. And we did that for a few months, you know. So I was like, oh, Lord, you know, I really don't want to be a member of Jimmy's church. And I knew the Lord was going to have to come down from heaven and sit on Jimmy's shoulder to say, join my church. So freedom came right on time. And like he said, at the time, it was just Friday services. But then they switched to Sunday service. And I was like, oh, I think this is it. I think it's time for us to make this move together because we really wanted to be at a church together. And so by the time we joined, it was at the hotel. It was at 4 Points by Sheridan. We joined November 2010. Yeah.
I joined Freedom because, for one, the word. I love how he brought forth the word and he related it to real life situations. And also I joined Freedom because of the people. The little bit of people we had, they was very nice. They was very welcoming, you know, and then pastor was a young pastor, but he didn't operate on a young pastor's mindset. And I also joined Freedom because I noticed that he knew greater was coming. It's like pastor knew. And then I just love the fact that this man, pastor, didn't operate on a small level. No matter where we was at, I joined Freedom because of that as well.
I joined the Freedom Church because I grew up in an old CME church, and coming to Freedom and getting the word that pastor was giving, it was just a freshness about it. I was seeking something new. I had been there for over 20 years. And so just getting something fresh and new for my life that really spoke to what I was going through in my life over the years. It was just time for a change, and it was the best decision that I made.
Freedom was located when we joined at the Four Seasons Hotel on Bay Meadows Road. And we had church in that hotel.
The church at that point, I love to say, was an infant. 8 months they had kicked off the ground. So we joined in that first year.
Pastor never had a small vision. He always had a huge vision. And he always would say, if your vision don't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough. So as I would say, the vision then and now is no different, because he's always envisioning something that's bigger, better, and greater.
For me, the vision that Pastor put before us was exactly what I could see. I'm a country boy. I like to put my hands in the dirt and grow things. And I could see this was exactly for me.
As far as me, I remember sitting down with Pastor when we first became members in February of 2011. And I told him at that time, I shouldn't say told, but I shared with him at that time that I appreciate him being in the book. Even though Freedom was a different type of church that I had grew up with, he was in the Word. And as long as he would be in the Word, then I would be alongside him. And he hasn't wavered from that. He's always in the Word.
Pastor has always been a visionary. He has set forth how he wanted freedom to go from the very beginning. And I feel like from then to now, it's been nothing but excellence. I think that it has surpassed what he initially even thought. And we keep expanding every year. 15 years is a long time, and we've come a long way.
It just goes along with his life, the stages of his life. I can tell the difference in the way he was preaching then, just being a single man, no kids, just going hard, preaching hard every Sunday, nonstop, all gas, no brakes, and then them kids came. Now you can tell he has slowed down a lot. He is very easygoing compared to how he was back in the day. So I can definitely tell the difference in the way he just delivers the word and everything. Like, he don't play. He just say what he got to say, and if you get it, you get it. If you don't, oh well. I'm moving on to the next thing.
We are still outreach heavy, but I had never seen a church outreach the way Freedom does. Like, who goes and pays for everybody's clothes to be washed and dried at a laundromat? Like, who does that? I had never seen anything like that. So he's had different stages of life, but I have seen the consistency of, like, we're always going to be out the box. And I love that about Freedom.
That has always stayed.
Yeah.
He's always been consistent with that. Just being out the box, thinking, not doing the norm that every other church does. And I think is one of the reasons why we reach so many people.
For sure. Yeah.
Physically, spiritually, emotionally, in every aspect, my very being, as the word says. I have come from being a broken man to a man that loves life and wants to live it to its fullest.
I feel that my faith has grown exponentially. Being under this ministry and under his leadership has really pushed the way I see things or have visions about things. Sometimes it's hard to follow a visionary, you know what I mean? Like, because his visions be way out there sometimes. And so at first you're kind of like, where is he going with that? Or what is it that he's trying to accomplish? But then when you see it happen, you're like, oh my goodness, it makes complete sense. So I feel like following him and his vision has really opened my mind on, like, okay, I really can do anything and everything with God's help.
So a lot of things that I learned in church, I just applied it in my business. And a lot of things that has happened in my business, I do owe a lot of it to the church. I mean, just watching a man start a church from a vision and then watch it grow into what it is now is really extraordinary.
It was a blessing. It has been a blessing to be a member here because, like I said, I have grown so much in God. Things that I would have fell apart then, I actually stand strong now, and I trust in God, and I actually read my word too. And I just love the fact that we operate outside of these four walls. I love that. Like, we go do ministry. We used to do the ministry at the laundromat. We did a senior prom. We used to give to, well, we still do, get to different schools. And we just did so much in the community. Since I've been at Freedom, you see where the money is going. You are seeing it. And Pastor is not keeping nothing bad about the budget. He always say, you can look at them books, as long as you're paying them tithes. And that's something I do now too. I pay my tithes. Well, I've been doing it for a while now. It's just like my life just changed drastically being at the Freedom Church. I've met many great people that has turned into family.
15 years of being here at Freedom is almost like I remember almost each and every day, because it has been so impactful on my life. And I'm looking forward to the next 15 plus. To God be the glory, and we love our pastor so much. He is a guiding light that helps us be able to follow this journey that we are on.
Pastor started us with excellence when he started this church. He doesn't say it as much as he used to when he was drilling it into us, but he still expects excellence
Amen.
From his church.
Hallelujah.
And I just appreciate him for that.
So much.
I'm just excited to see how Freedom has grown over the years. We've had lots of members in the beginning, and then we've had a few members, and it's gone up and down, and then now we just have this steady flow of new members that's coming in that seems excited and hungry and wants to work and get involved. And it's just amazing to see where we've come from day one to 15 years later, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
I'm very happy and I'm very excited to see where we're going, because I know this is not it. This is not it. It's a stepping stone. So I'm just here for the ride, and I'm just excited to see what God is doing in Pastor's life and how he has now. It's like we have a set of people that's actually down with the vision, and they ready to take off with it. They so intrigued. They go getters. So that's what I really like. And that's what I have seen change as well. So, hey, happy anniversary, Freedom.